Hello, welcome to the Hub Legal Department. I'm going to take my time to explain where this document is a thorough character assassination. A character assassination. It doesn't say one single nice thing about me. And it makes a whole lot of false claims about me. And it is part of the SIMHA, the CIMHA record. SIMHA stands for Consumer Integrated Mental Health Application. And that is the official electronic record of the Princess Alexandra Hospital and Metro South Hospital and Health Service. Now, I received this document in February this year, and it says it was first signed by Dr. Tarun Sehgal, who's an Indian psychiatrist that had been appointed to be my treating psychiatrist. This guy graduated in India many years after I graduated at the University of Queensland. And the report has been compiled over a period of 6 years, and doctors have added to it and amended it in that time, maybe more than 6 years. I have a whole folder of Mental Health Review Tribunal critical reports. I've got about 10 of them, and it involves about 10 different doctors. A few came up repeatedly, including Daniel Varghese, who locked me up in 2008, 2009 and 2011 for saying that my father was a supporter of the Tamil Tigers, which he was. He was more than a supporter, he was a key organizer of the Tamil Tigers. So I'll get straight to it. Tarun Sehgal has written that I have paranoid schizophrenia and cannabis addiction and personality disorders, specific personality disorders. He doesn't specify what these personality disorders are. But this is a guy with no personality whatsoever. A strange, nerdy Indian man. Brown Sahib. So, this document was submitted to the Mental Health Review Tribunal, the MHRT. That's why it says MHRT on it. And I had half an hour to 45 minutes to refute it, maybe going up to an hour. But it takes more than an hour to refute the detailed claims that are made. It goes for several pages in small writing. I've highlighted some relevant sections. There's a lot of it that I disagree with, including the claim from a previous report. It says social circumstances, network and the capacity to support the patient. I don't need support. I have all the support I need from Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube. And my daughter Zoe, she supports me. She says my work is incredible. It's very nice of her. Zoe is only 10, but she admires my work. This says, Romesh's only positive relationship was with his mother, who supported him and accommodated him in a property which belonged to her. Romesh has a long-term conflict with his father, who antagonizes with him. It's written badly by Indian psychiatrists with a poor command of the English language. I'll read the mental state examination, MSc, by Tarun Sehgal, and you'll see what I mean about his lack of English skills. MSc by Dr. Tarun Sehgal, brackets Cons, that's consultant, 18th of February 2019. This is supposed to be a mental state examination. He presented with average personal hygiene, unshaven, appropriately dressed, and rapport was difficult to establish. His speech was normal in tone, vol, and rhythm. Vol is volume. His mood was euthymic. That's normal mood. With mildly irritable affect. Affect is another word for mood. No delusional or perceptual abnormality reported. Cognitively, he was grossly intact. And this is an example of his poor English. He lacks to have insight into his mental health condition and need to have treatment. He lacks to have insight. He means he lacks insight. I have a lot of insight. I have a mental health condition. I don't need insight into that. I am a very mentally healthy person. A very mentally healthy person. So I'll read the whole report, and you'll see that It cannot be easily refuted in half an hour. Ramesh Senewiratne is a 58-year-old male. I'm 59 years old now, physician, and that's an important omission. Ramesh has been involved with PAH mental health services for many years. When unwell in the past, he has been reported to present with psychotic symptoms, usually in the form of thought disorder, disorganized behavior, and some persecutory beliefs. These episodes are usually brief in duration, and he quickly returns to his usual level of functioning. They don't mention what my level of functioning is. That I have recorded over 20 albums of music and written several books and set up internet businesses and the Holistic University Network. It doesn't mention anything positive about me at all. It doesn't say that I have 11,500 LinkedIn connections and more than 3,500 Facebook friends, some of whom I went to primary school with. I have long-lasting friendships with many people. And I have 2 daughters who I'm very close to, especially my younger daughter Zoe. It doesn't mention Zoe or my children at all. It doesn't mention any of my positive things about me, as I said. The fact that I was the Duxford Church of England Grammar School and won over 20 school prizes. Daniel Varghese has written on his LinkedIn page, where he's got only 7 connections, that he got a 990 TE score, brackets 1%, top 1%. I also got a 990 TE score. And he said he won the biology prize. I won the biology prize as well, but I also won the maths prize and the social studies prize and the Turbot Cup for the best student of Churchy. And I won the scripture prize. Scripture prize. I won biology prize many times. But Daniel Varghese charges $500 an hour for medical reports. $500 an hour for medical legal reports. And these people denied me my right to earn any money at all. And they denied me my right to live in my own house. This is originally what Daniel Varghese wrote in 2011. Ramesh's view is that these episodes are precipitated by stress, usually regarding his father, and at times has acknowledged that marijuana may have contributed in some way. Non-adherence with medication had also played a significant role. He's written Ramesh's view. It's not Ramesh's view. My view is that my father framed me as mentally ill because he doesn't like me. And so did my sister and her boyfriend Robert Percy. They were hostile to me. They were hostile to me because of my criticism of their medical actions and their training. So I don't have a view that I have episodes precipitated by stress about my father. I said that my father deliberately got me labeled as mentally ill to discredit me, which was very stressful. It was very stressful being locked up over and over again and injected over 100 times with poisons that made it difficult for me to speak, like I'm having difficulty speaking now. He's written, Romesh's experience of the mental health system has been highly traumatizing for him, and he holds the mental health system responsible for some of the difficult episodes in my life, with good reason, particularly with regards to affecting his family relationships and ability to continue work as a doctor. I have continued working as a doctor, I just don't get paid anything. The influence of his father in particular is also seen as a negative by Romesh. It's very difficult to see my father's behavior towards me positively. He hates me. He makes that clear. He sent me a text message, the only text message he sent me, that if I came around to his house, he'd smash my bloody face and this time he'd finish me off. That was a few years ago. He bans me from speaking to my mother and has blocked my mother's phone. Romesh's experience has been, yeah. There have been difficulties in administering treatment whilst in the inpatient unit, often necessitating restraint and medication. There have been multiple psychiatrists being involved in his inpatient admissions and community care thereafter. Most of these admissions have been secondary to disengagement from services and non-compliance with medication. On all occasions, readmissions have been facilitated through an ATR. ATR stands for Authority to Return, often requiring police assistance. On one such occasion, Romesh sustained an injury to his finger during the course of restraint by the police. Now that's a deliberate lie by the PA hospital. They know perfectly well, because it's in the report, that I suffered a fractured rib and a fractured finger in Paul Schneider's ward in 2002. And it was not done by the police, it was done by security guards and nurses who knelt on my chest and injected me unnecessarily at night in the bed as soon as I was admitted to the ward. In addition, I had an assault by police in Melbourne where they chased me through a glass door and cut my ulnar nerve and triceps tendons, and then they stitched the ulnar nerve to the skin to try and give me a claw hand, a brachial plexus palsy. I could feel the traction on my brachial plexus, and I pulled out the stitches myself. They put me in a cast which would have made my arm stiff, but I have full range of movement in my elbow. They locked me up for 2 days in the plastic surgery ward, and then they moved me to the locked ward of the psychiatric unit in the Alfred Hospital in 2006. Stopped me playing the guitar and saxophone and bass. That's when I returned to playing the piano. History through 2013 to 14. There were multiple admissions in 2013 with the features as above. On many occasions he was reported to display behavioral problems, flooding his garden, accusing ex-partner's family of being connected with the mafia as they shared very similar surnames, and stating that people along the road were robbing and killing others, and that these victims were buried in Tui Forest. I never said anything about people being buried in Tui Forest or people being killed along the road. These were lies that were said by my neighbor, Jeff Miller, who misconstrued me saying that Aboriginal people were chased off cliffs in Victoria. And that there were massacres of Aboriginal people in the recent past, in the 1920s and 1930s. They were still being hunted in Victoria and New South Wales, hunted for sport. That's what I said. And I did not think that Sarah de Genova's family was associated with the mafia because they shared similar surnames. I had detailed conversations with her father Felice, which confirmed that he supported the mafia. And I had a 20-year relationship with Sarah de Genova, in which she told me a great deal about her family. This is the Genovese mafia. He was reported to be quite disorganized in his presentation, unkempt, and thought to have lost weight due to self-neglect. I didn't lose weight due to self-neglect. I lost weight through a combination of yoga and gardening and exercise and diet and stopping drinking alcohol. Not that I drank a lot of alcohol, but even a small amount of alcohol tends to put weight on me. It says his mental state and well-being was also complicated by the continued use of cannabis and non-compliance with medication. I don't need medication. I have never taken medication voluntarily. I have only taken oral medication while I've been locked up in the hospital because I was told that if I refused the oral medication, the oral drugs, dopamine blocking drugs, that they would be injected into me. So I took the easy way out. But I don't need medication. They're poisons. It's still on history through 2013 to 2014. Following his MHRT hearing in May 2014, Ramesh was managed entirely in the community and did not require a hospital admission. He was accepting his prescribed medication, albeit with a degree of reluctance, and only because he was under an ITO, that's an involuntary treatment order, and did not wish to be brought back to the hospital by the police. He was reviewed at home on a monthly basis by his case manager, that's Nigel Lewin, and also a registrar, that's an Indian guy called Sagia Parker. In addition, he also attended consultant reviews at regular intervals at McGregor Clinic. Nigel Lewin drove me to the McGregor Clinic twice. They weren't regular intervals, there were 2 visits. Then it says the ITO was revoked on 28/7/2015. Now this is an important omission. It doesn't say who revoked it and why the ITO was revoked, meaning it was removed. What happened is that a new consultant, an Australian consultant by the name of Kelly Schilling, was appointed, and she came to my house with Nigel Lewin, talked to me for 45 minutes, said that I was not psychotic, and that I was eccentric, not psychotic, and that the involuntary treatment order was not justified, and they removed the ITO. What happened then is that immediately afterwards, my mother found out that I had been taken off the ITO, told my father, and my father got my mother to ring up the hospital and say that she was very unhappy about the ITO being removed. She rang up the hospital, and the hospital told her, now that he's been taken off the ITO, the only way you can get him back and reviewed is to take out a JEO, a Justice's Examination Order, which meant that police were sent around to my house again, and I was taken back to the hospital. So my father drove my mother to the magistrate's court, the Holland Park Magistrate's Court, and got her to sign a JEO, apply for a JEO. So here we are, I was discharged. The ITO was revoked on the 28th of July, and on the 14th of August, 2 weeks later, admission Princess Alexandra Hospital. It is under section saying, history from August 2015 when ITO reinstituted. On 14/8/2015, he was brought for involuntary assessment as a response to a JEO taken out by his mother, who was concerned about a possible relapse after he had been abusive towards her and again made, they've written, mad allegations, but they mean made allegations, about his father being involved in a terrorist group after a period of absence of these ideas. There was no period of absence of these ideas. I have said that my father was involved with the Tamil Tigers. I've been saying this since 1995, because he was. Mother was unhappy about revoking the ITO and discharging from the community mental health team. On admission, on assessment during the admission, there was no clear indication of acute, severe, or new psychotic symptoms. There was no evidence of any psychotic symptoms, let alone acute ones. He wanted to be followed up by private psychiatrist Dr. Frank New. He was offered oral risperidone tablets on discharge. They offered me risperidone, made by Belgian company Janssen Cilag, a dopamine-blocking drug. I refused it. It's the treatment for schizophrenia. It's not paranoid to believe that my father supported the Tamil Tigers. It's not paranoid. It's a statement of fact. It's a statement of fact. So that was the 14th of August. 31st of August. On 31st of August, 6 days after discharge, he was brought in by police on EEO, Emergency Examination Order. After the third visit to Romesh's house by QPS, as requested by neighbours, this is my neighbour Jeff Miller, who were complaining that he was verbally aggressive and threatening towards them, flooding the garden and building a moat in the garden filled with glass. Now you can see from my photographs that I have published in my Cosmopolitan Green architecture publication, presentations on YouTube. I was making frog breeding ponds and irrigating my garden. I wasn't building a moat or trenches, and I didn't flood it. It's called irrigation. It's been done for thousands of years. Building a moat in the garden filled with glass. There was no glass. A home visit was organized with consent from Romesh's mother, who was also present during a visit by Dr. O'Brien and Dr. Malalagama. The house and garden clearly showed evidence of disorganization. The conclusion was that Romesh showed disorganized behavior driven by a psychotic illness, namely schizophrenia, and that he required antipsychotic medication. The ITO was endorsed and he was started back on IMI, paliperidone depot. Now they've got that story out of order because Justin O'Brien and Ayodhya Malalagama only came out and inspected my house with my mother after the 22nd of September, when I was locked up. Again, the 22nd of September, this was again initiated by Jeff Miller. Now Jeff Miller reported me to the police that I was threatening him with a knife, slashing at a tree in order to intimidate him, and that he was afraid that I would run across the road and stab him because I hate him so much. The truth is that he is the guy who hates me and had reported me first in 2009. 2009, he reported that I was throwing things out of the window when I was cleaning up, and he got me locked up. And then once he got me locked up, he robbed me. He's a racist guy, doesn't like black people, wanted me out of the neighborhood. Jeff Miller had written a handwritten diary. He'd written spy notes on me for a month before the 22nd of September, when they locked me up on my 55th birthday. And then they wouldn't let me come home. And they robbed me while I was locked up. And they ransacked my house. And it was only after they had ransacked my house that Justin O'Brien and Ayodhya Malagama came around and said my house was disorganized. It was disorganized because it had been ransacked. And while they ransacked my house, they stole my coin collection and my stamp collection and my SD cards and my video camera and my amplifier. They stole my USB sticks, my memory sticks. They stole my cymbal and my drumsticks.